The Conserv Epoxy 100 Consolidant and 200 Patch are sold in 4 different size kits. This video demonstrates an easy way to break down the 200-1 patch into 4 equally sized containers. This also applies to the 100-1 Consolidant. I'm going to show you how to measure out 4 times the Conserv Epoxy 200-1 system, measured down to 4 equal components of A, B, and C. And this can also be used for the Epoxy 100-1. We're going to measure out the A into these 4 bottles. Carefully pour them with this paint pouring cap that will lock right into your gallon can. And we have a rough mark because we know about where we're going to end up. And if you don't, you just pour a little and you work your way to equal components. Then we're going to go to the next. And you work on a level bench protected with clear poly, and you can cover it with newspaper or paper towel. And whatever elevation you pour this at, you just break this down 4 times equally into the bottles. Whatever that might be. And take your time to keep everything clean. Wear gloves always. And the way we drain this can, I'll show you in a minute when we take this top off. And I can see that I'm going to put a little bit more in number 2 bottle. And my number 1 bottle. And then I'm almost done with that. I'm going to let that drain down in before I do my final pouring out. And I'll come back to that. In the meantime, I'm going to set these aside. And this 4th bottle I have here needs more, and I'll drain the can into that in a few minutes. Now, the B component, which is just a 1-step, we will do a very similar setup. And if you have a bottle like this that you know the elevation of, we keep a clean bottle labeled with a mark on it that we then in turn pre-mark these bottles so we know just about where we have to go with our elevation. If you don't have that, that's okay. You just watch where you're pouring, and then you can pour them back into each other to get them equal. Carefully, slowly pour the B component. This goes in, these are 4-ounce or 120 cc bottles, wide mouth. And we'll see how we make out on this fourth one. And I'm checking my elevation. You may have to bring your eye right down on a level and try and just equal things up. And then what we like to do is we can carefully just let that drain in there, or you could prop it or tape it just to get the last few drops. Those are all equal. Lock your top on tight. You have to have a clear bench and work carefully. Be prepared if you had a little spill, have some paper towels handy, and that's why you want your bench protected. Don't get distracted. This bottle is done. And here's B broken down 4 times. And A, we need to take our gallon cover off. And we put that into newspaper. And then into a labeled bag for future use. Take this bottle that has a little less than the other 3, and we'll take the can, give it a little tilt. We have a hole punched right in this top edge with a little screwdriver just for drainage, and we'll take and carefully pour the remaining A resin into the bottle. And we check to see that they're all very close to each other in elevation. So we got equal components now of the A. And we're going to put those into quart cans, which will end up being the mixing vessel. Slowly pour that in. If you have a heavy stick, you can just rest that there and let that drain. Drain your bottles. These 4 bottles for A can be marked, and they can be labeled and reused for future measuring. And if you have a good setup and you're comfortable with it, you can let those drain a couple minutes, or you can just cap them when you're ready. You could use, if you wanted to drain this any further, you can get a soft plastic bottle, syringe type, and you can draw some of the product out of there and add that to one of the cans. Now that these bottles have drained, we're going to cap them for future reference, future needs. And we label it. It's a 1/4 of the gallon batch, and this is the A resin, and the date. So you have good information, and that can be done on all of your bottles. And if you get a little bit on the lip of the can, just keep that clean. Paper towel. Then we're going to cap these. They're labeled, and you can label the can itself as well. So here's A. We've broken this down 4 times into 4A and 4B, and now C. The ratio doesn't have to be critical. Flexible patch, we will divide into approximately 4 equal parts. Now I got a feel that the first couple here had a little bit less than the last 2. I still have some more in the bag. So I'm gonna, before I double check my ratios, which doesn't have to be perfectly accurate on this component, add some to this one. Okay, on the C ingredient, just visually and by feel, just see that you have them approximately the same volume. And if you had a scale, you could be more accurate, but as long as you're close on this ingredient, that would be fine. And so now we have our 4 C components to go along with our A and B components. Final ingredient, the D ingredient, will be the thickening agent, and you can work out of just the one bag and just use a little at a time until you create the consistency of the patch that's appropriate for your application. You can vary the thickness according to your needs. Now the Conserv 200-1 7/8 gallon batch, this is the original components, A, B, and C. We are showing you how to break them down into smaller quantities if you so choose to do that on your own. This is our A component in cans, our B component in bottles, our C component in bags, and then the D component stays as it was sent to you, and you use that according to your needs. The 100 consolidant, which would come in similar containers as the A and B, and that would be the 101, if you so choose to break that down 4 times also, then you would just be doing that A and B in the same manner, and those are the only components that comprise the 100 mixed.